All right, Shalom. I wasn't sure about how to break up the videos into pieces or whatnot, but the Mossad took care of that decision for me because when I paused the last one, I did something and I just had to upload that part. So I don't know how many pieces we'll break this into, but we're going to continue where we left off. This is the ethnicity of ancient Egypt on JSTOR. And so we see here it's saying we can't. Okay, the controversy over the ethnicity of the ancient Egyptians centers on conflicting theories regarding the identity of the Hamites that Edith Sanders, 1969, has termed the Hamitic hypothesis. In ancient times, the Hamites who developed the civilization of Egypt were considered black. The word Ham appears for the first time in Genesis 5. Noah cursed Ham for looking at him in his nakedness. All right, we're gonna go through this rather quickly. There's a few things in here that I want y'all to see that are relevant, but anyhow, starting from the top here, is not until later the Hammer is referred to as black, for the Bible makes no mention of racial differences among mankind. Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, we're gonna pause there. This paper is 17 pages long, so we're not going to go through the whole thing, but here in the beginning it gives away a couple of important clues here. So we see, however, in the early 19th century, after Napoleon's expedition to Egypt, where he met with Muhammad Ali, the original Muhammad Ali, the Hamites began to be viewed as having been Caucasians. Napoleon's archaeologists were amazed by the grandeur of ancient Egyptian civilization. Okay, we're going to pause again. Okay, we're going to get this little piece here, right here, the last word of the page, Sanders. Sanders, 1969, that's her book, concluded that in this way the Egyptians emerged as Caucasoid Hamites, uncursed and capable of creating high civilization. An American school of anthropology arose, which attempted to prove scientifically that the Egyptians were Caucasians, far removed from the inferior blacks. Perhaps this was because slavery was both still legal and profitable in the United States, and it was deemed necessary to justify and protect it. Sanders, 1969, relates how Morton, in 1844, these are different books. Someone named Morton wrote a book in 1844. Knott and Glidden in 1854 wrote books. Gathered, measured, interpreted, and described human crania, or the head. Morton concluded that the Egyptians were a Caucasian race indigenous to the Nile Valley. And they're going on and on to find that whether or not they're the Egyptians or not, but they're Hamites. Okay, this is what's truly important to my this video. This video is not about Egypt, but it's about the Hamite, it's about the Japhethite, and of course it's about the Shemite. Okay, I think this is gonna just about do it for this paper because, as I said, we're focused on what the Most High said about we peoples, not about what these authors said about it. They're simply admitting that the white Caucasian Hamites exist. They're going into a lot of European white supremacy, and of course, whites made Egypt because a black person couldn't make a great civilization. Yeah, but you fucked up because you told us who you are. As the 20th century opened, the Caucasoid Hamite hypothesis was firmly established. 20th century, science confirmed theological theory regarding the ethnicity of the Hamites. Science confirmed. Racial scientific classification explained the confusing diversity of Hamites by establishing a separate Hamitic branch of the Caucasian race. Historians began to compile histories of Africa with an often unconscious racial bias, accepting as indisputable proven fact that the Hamites were Caucasians. Many anthropologists also accepted the Hamitic hypothesis. C.G. Seligman, 1930, wrote in his famous Races of Africa, apart from relatively late Semitic influence, the civilizations of Africa are the civilizations of the Hamites. Its history, the record of these peoples, and their interaction with the two other African stocks, the Negro and the Bushman, whether this influence was exerted by highly civilized Egyptians or by such wider pastoralists as are represented at the present day, by the Beja and Somali. The incoming Hamites were pastoral Europeans arriving wave after wave, better armed and as well as quicker witted than the dark into our agricultural Negro. Okay, they fucked up again because this is gonna take me into my what came to me, right, as I'm studying the Bible and thinking about this. Better armed, and they say quicker witted, but actually they're quicker, not witted, but they're just quicker. I'm gonna show you in a minute, okay? Because I started thinking about um, Isaiah 30 and 31, and I'm talking about stay away from Egypt. So woe to the rebellious children, saith the Ishi, that take counsel, but not of me, and cover with a covering, but not of my spirit. They walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So, this could be talking about a few different things, but I believe that it's talking about today. If these so-called white, so-called Caucasian, if these Hamites out here are Egypt and who the Most High is talking about to stay away from them, then wouldn't it make a lot of sense that it's talking about today? Okay. Um, I don't want to get into it too far because it's not talking about Egypt, the land. It's talking about Egypt, the people, the Hamite, the white Hamite. Okay? Who has the strength today? The Pharaoh. Who's trusting in the strength of the U.S.? The Pharaoh. Okay? But more importantly, what I got to thinking about as I went through Isaiah 30, and when I got to Isaiah 31, it took me a minute, but it came to me. And maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. But, okay, bless you. We're looking at Isaiah 31. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots. Now, we know in other places say you're supposed to keep your mind stayed on the Most High. Stay, if you go into Esau, it means to trust or rely on. Okay? They stay on the horses and the chariots of Egypt. And I start thinking a lot of other times it talks about Egypt and it talks about their horses and their chariots. And you know what it made me think is this. I've seen videos and studies before um, about history and about the peoples and about what made different peoples. Well, let's just say this: the horse made a major difference in civilizations as to how much power they had. So when we see them always talking about woe to them that go down, not them, when we see the Most High, when we see Isaiah talking about woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, then I wanted to look at something and find something, and I'm going to show you right now. Um, so, where did the horse come from? What? Look, that. All right. The horse originated in North America. That's not even true. Okay, hang on here. Give me a second. So you seen that shit, right? Goddamn, they got the motherfucking nerve to say it came from North America. Horses were first domesticated. Trying to throw a wrench in my video here. Horses were first domesticated on the Pontiac-Caspian steppes, northern Caucasus, before conquering the rest of Eurasia within a few centuries. So, who are these Caucasus people that had the had the horse? Like the issue always talks about Egypt and their horses, and like the other book talks about the Caucasians coming from the northeast and invading into Egypt, or migrating into Egypt, or how the Hamitic theory says that the Hamites were white people that came down into Egypt. Okay, but this is going to be even better. Let's say horse chariot origins. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. Um, Give me a second. Okay, here it is. Boy, they give a lot of conflicting information. Um, when I looked this up the other night, it came up, and I'll try to. I don't remember what I looked up, but I'm gonna try to just go straight to it and see if it comes up that way. But anyway, we see the invention of the chariot and the steppe. Okay, same area, the Caucasus invented the war chariot, and interestingly, it said that it was the Yamnaya. Let's see if we get it to come up. Here it says Yamnaya invented the wheel. Uh, anyway, when it came up, it said Yamnaya, but you see, chariots were invented earliest in the steppes where they were used in warfare. Okay, and I'm gonna throw this in here real quick because I was showing in the last video about the Caucasus Indicus, which is the Hindu Kush. Just show it real quick because it's interesting where they got that name from. Where does that name come from? Hindu Kush. Why is it called Hindu Kush? Wow, it came up different too this time, but it says the same thing. It's known as Hindu Kush. It means a mountain of crushed Hindus. It said before there are different versions to in history. This was a place where Hindus were subjected to atrocities and were crushed to extinction. Now, the other one said that the Hindu slaves, while being transported from India across the Hindu Kush, means the Hindu killer. Let's see if it comes up. The Hindu slaves were killed most time. There it is. Hindu Kush is generally translated as killer of Hindus or Hindu killer by most writers. The term was earliest used as slaves. There it is. Slaves from the. Why isn't this working? Slaves from the Indian subcontinent died in the harsh climatic conditions in the mountains while being taken from India to Turkestan. Okay. So I got to Isaiah 8, and I want to propose. The Bible is written to the Hebrews. The Bible is the book of the Hebrews. But do we really not think that the Most High didn't know that the book would end up in the hands of the heathen? And so would he not put instructions in it to the heathen? I was reading Isaiah 8, and that came to me. And I'm going to tie this all together, man. All these verses I'm showing you have this also about writing it down in a book and taking down a roll. Take the great roll and write in it. Faithful witness. Okay? All these verses I'm about to show this. And I understand also that this is talking in the time of Samaria's allegiance against Israel with they allied with Damascus, with the Assyrian, I believe. But I believe that this is instructions to us Gentiles. Associate yourselves, O you people, and you shall be broken in pieces. See? Gentile, don't go with other Gentile. Give ear, all of you far countries. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Prepare for war against Israel, and you're finished. Okay? Take counsel together, heathen, and it shall come to naught. Now, I don't mean to put words in here, but this is what I'm thinking here. And in my Bible, it's gonna it has a precept over to Habakkuk 2. But interestingly enough, I was led to Habakkuk 1, and I'm going to show you it's another example of instructions to the heathen. Okay? Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand. For God is with us. God is with us. Us who? The Hebrews. So associate yourselves, and you're done. It's telling us, heathen, to, come to the true so-called the true faith, the Hebrew faith, whatever that word is for changing over, changing your religion. Anyway, I'll show you Habakkuk 1 real quick. Because that's definitely instructions to the heathen. Definitely. It even says. But then when we're going to go to Habakkuk 2, it's very interesting. And this is great, the burden of Habakkuk. Oh Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear, even cry out of the violence, and thou wilt not save? Why dost thou show me iniquity and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that raise up strife and contention. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth, for the wicked doth compass about the righteous. Therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Absolutely. Heya heya, Yashana heya heya, taken from Hosanna, which means save us. Save us, Ishi. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard. Now, could it be talking to the Israelite that's among the heathen? It could. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard, and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe, though it be told you. For lo, I raise up Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation. These are another people with the horses, although I realize the Chaldean is the Shemite. Um, that bitter and hasty nation which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling place that not their own. Their horses are swifter than leopards. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Their horses also are swifter than leopards. Okay, let's go to Habakkuk 2. Now, Habakkuk 2 is going to tie back to Isaiah 30. The idea that Israel is facing its undoing by the Most High because of her mixing with peoples that she was not supposed to mix with. Okay, I'll stand upon my watch and set upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Ishi answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Okay? It's going to talk about Israel getting drunk. Okay? Well, we'll go ahead. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him. See that I almost missed it, trying to skip around. Why won't this gathereth to him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people? Now it makes you wonder what people were not supposed to be heaped unto Israel, right? And we're going to go further too and look at the difference between Japheth and Ham. And as I showed you in the last video, I believe my people are Japhetic. Shall not. Now listen to this and tell me that we were speaking about how some of the stuff in the Bible is talking about today, even right this moment. Because we know that there was melanated kings, King James, right up until King James lived early 1800, something like that, give or take. And ask yourself, what is this? What is this speaking about? Is this speaking? Ask yourself, is this speaking about the insurrection of the white slaves that overthrew their black masters? Okay, let me ask you. If you don't agree, you don't agree. Okay, but here it is, and it's talking about how he gathered into him all nations and all peoples. Shall not all these people take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee? And thou shalt be for booties unto them. Is this talking about the enslavement of the of the white Hamite by the English in northern Africa, which we just showed are the Hamitic Caucasians that came into Africa. Because thou hadst spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein. And I was reading through this, and I started thinking about what I just said, the difference between Japheth and Ham. Okay? Obviously, Shem is in his own boat, but Japheth and Ham, if we both be of a light complexion, then what's the difference between us? Well, what did the Most High say is the difference between us? And and I started thinking about Genesis 9 and Genesis 10, because this is where we're going to find out about Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And little did I know, I kept reading down in Habakkuk 2, and we find here it says, "Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, and putteth thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken, so that thou mayest look on their nakedness." So we see again, it wasn't in my Bible, but this is a precept unto Genesis 9. And so we're going to go to Genesis 9. We're going to go to Genesis 9, we're going to go to Genesis 10, and then we're going to be finished. Yeah. Okay. Genesis 9, of course, is the land in the ark after the flood. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And so I was wondering the time frame of this, because it says, of course, we want to go to the curse, which is at the end. And it's already talking about Canaan. So obviously there are already people in the earth right away. So this might be a larger time scale. Noah became a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not the nakedness of their father. Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. Now, who's the servant? Who's he a servant of? The servant of servant? I haven't figured that out yet. And he said, Blessed be the Ishi-Eloha of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And he said, The Most High shall enlarge Japheth. And you look it up in Esor, and enlarge is to be roomy, or to give him an expansive land. And I'm going to propose this, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Dwell is sojourn. Dwell is not to say that he stole or took the tents of Shem. Dwell is to say that they lived together, just as Abraham dwelt in the land of the Chaldeans. He sojourned in a couple of foreign lands. But most important of all, Canaan shall be his servant as well. Canaan is the servant of Japheth as well. Noah lived after the flood 150 years in the days of Noah. Okay. We're going to go to Genesis 10, and this is where we're really going to see something. Okay. I've been through this, as many of us have, many times, looking at the families. But this time I went through this and I broke down and I analyzed just how it speaks of the three different brothers, okay? Okay, the sons, okay? And then we see, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, okay? In their lands, remember that. Well, let's just go, because this is what I'm doing. I'm breaking down those three verses, right? First of all, and then it's going to say, these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Doesn't say anything about lands. It says about their countries, which means they could be anywhere and everywhere. Countries are all over the world. Nations are all over the world. The Hamite is all over the world. Okay? By the way, Japheth is the oldest brother. Japheth is the firstborn. Just saying. That's another. The firstborn is given the blessing of the Most High. But then we're going to look at Shem. What does it say about Shem? These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands. So Shem and Japheth are both in their lands, after their nations. Okay? So Shem and Japheth and Shem are both in their lands, but Ham is not. But there was one other thing here. It was in their lands, in their tongue, in their families, in their nations. Okay? Then we got Ham. Ham is a large clan too. Just the Canaanites alone have 12 tribes. That could have been again why it was saying it will enlarge Japheth. Japheth seems relatively small. And also when it talks about Ham, everywhere else it talks about the specific people, right? The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras, right? But why all of a sudden, when it starts getting to Ham, why does it talk about peoples? The Jebusite, the Amorite, the Girgasite, the Hivite, the Arkite, and the Sinite. That's strange to me as well. Zamorite, Arvite, Hamathite. Okay? It says right here. Okay. Yeah. You see, I'm tripping. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth. It doesn't say anywhere else that Ham is the brother, or go through it and look for yourself. It says that Shem and Japheth are brothers, and that Japheth is the elder brother, the eldest brother. And so let me look at my notes real quick. Japheth is the firstborn. Canaan is to serve Japheth and Shem. Japheth and Sem are in their lands. I was talking in the first deal about my mom being Irish. Got me to thinking about the potato famine. I guess that's another video, So this is it. Shem, Ham, Japheth. Japheth, a brother to Shem. Ham and their countries and their nations. And I'm going to sign off and say, may the Most High dwell with you. May the Most High dwell with all of us. As Japheth dwelt in the tents of Shem. To me means that they were family. That they had familiar ties. Shalom.